Hi, I'm Nathan Wakeford of Somage Fine Foods, and I'd like to share with you a trip I did to Sri Lanka in search of true specialty tea. My journey takes me through many of the growing regions of Sri Lanka, Dimbula, Kandy, Uva and Rahuna, where I visit plantations of various sizes and elevations. My hope is that you'll find some value as I did, learning from some of Sri Lanka's pioneers of specialty tea. You also get to see some magnificent countryside as I travel by bus, car and rail, and watch my facial expressions as I try some interesting local fare. My trip starts in Colombo, the capital of Sri Lanka. It was only a few months before my arrival that Sri Lanka had been liberated from a 30-long civil war. I was feeling strangely relaxed. Everyone seemed so friendly. My bus trip was an interesting experience though. It would have almost been humorous if it wasn't at times scary. The driver constantly blared his horn as we overtook cars, trucks and tuk-tuks, often into the path of oncoming traffic. I soon settled in and absorbed the countryside. The wares of roadside vendors, the lush scenery, and observing unusual means of transport made for an interesting trip. The trip was regularly interrupted by the holler of the ticket collector as we stopped to collect passengers. I disembarked at Kandy and took a tuk-tuk to Biofoods. I think the driver might have been missed his calling as a tour guide. We stopped at numerous landmarks along the way. I arrived at Biofoods and met the founder, Dr. Sarath. He's a really interesting man, a lecturer, biologist, entrepreneur and pioneer of fair trade farming practices.
Hot water.
You're drinking hot water?
But it will cold. You know, I don't destroy my tea.
So about what temperature do you infuse your tea at?
60 to 80. These are green teas where we have our own names because this production is done using a special technology, using steam, but it is patent technology under my personal.
So to prevent the oxidization for this green, you're using a steam technology?
The cupping process could assist in determining the character and intensity of the leaf, as well as identifying any faults in processing and production. From the colour, aroma and taste, you could ascertain the age of the tea and also the levels of oxidization and any faults in processing.
If somebody has done something wrong, we can say whether it's under-withered or the over-withered or the over-fermented, or whether they use hot air for withering.
Beautiful.
Everything can be...
hot air for withering, gotcha.
Yeah.
I asked Dr. Sarath what tea he chose to drink. During our tasting, he showed me some green and black tea from his personal collection, which he called Heavenly Scent. It was from a small project called Kingsland Estate, perched high on a mountainside close to the geographic phenomenon called World's End. The romance of the story appealed to me immediately, so I asked if I could visit the plantation. He warned that the roads leading to the estate were really in poor repair, but he would make the necessary arrangements for me to travel if I wanted to. He helped to establish SOFA, a cooperative that supports small tea growers in the communities. Biofoods consolidates crops from approximately 1,000 small farms, paying a fair price for the spice and tea which is produced in their factories. After the tasting, I was taken to some small organic plantations operated under SOFA. I had the opportunity to meet and chat with farmers who tended to small 2-acre plots. There was approximately 300 farmers in the SOFA project that I visited, growing tea and other spices for additional revenue and crop diversity.
Partner. Here is a ginger plant, and obviously somewhere in the roots of the ground there is where the ginger is. In the roots?
Inside the soil.
Inside the soil. Underneath you'll see the ginger.
The farmers told me that they were really happy dealing with Biofoods, as they paid a higher price for the tea and received education on farming practices. This information helped them to improve their yield and the quality of their crops.
Farmer's logbook, and what happened? So, it's got the farmer's name and
block name, block number, family number of family members, extent. These the things we can induce them to the
encourage them to do.
The field, these wrong things.
Yep.
Map of the field.
I was really looking forward to the trade journey because I'd heard there was some awesome views of tea plantations along the way. When the train arrived, I wasn't even sure if I'd make it on board. There was a school vacation and passengers were literally holding onto the outside rails of the train. For the first hour I was standing holding my bags and with a family at my feet because there's no space left on the floor. Fortunately, a generous family offered me a seat, and then from the sights from the train didn't disappoint. At Greenfields, I met Mark, who was a Greenfields tea factory manager. With over 25 years' experience in tea production, Mark took me through each step of the process, from plucking and withering, through rolling, fermenting, drying and grading. The first stage after picking is withering. The withering process takes around 16 hours, and the leaf is turned over twice during this time. Most commercial factories use fan force withering, and whilst it's not ideal, hot air is sometimes used during wet season because of the additional moisture content in the leaf. After withering, large rollers twist the leaf in order to rupture the cell walls. This begins enzyme reaction and oxidization of the leaf. The tea is then passed through the roll breaker to separate the particles of tea to that which can be graded. This wet leaf, or douls, are then taken to the fermentation tables. Black tea is oxidized for approximately 30 to 40 minutes before it is taken to the dryer. When it hits the dryer, the oxidization is stopped. It also reduces the moisture content down to about 3%. The dried tea is taken to sorting, where fibre or stem and foreign material is removed, and the leaf is graded. Longer leaf becomes leafy grade tea. The smaller leaf produces broken grade tea. After grading, the tea is packaged, either into our pyramid infuser tea bags or into foil bags for export. After the tour, Shala and Mark explained how to judge tea quality and how this related to the technical aspects of production.
We try to bring out the leaf, right?
Yeah.
And that way you can see the rolled leaf, and you can see it as it's infused out. And the color of the different infusions, depending on how coppery or how green it is, we know the right colors for each season.
Gotcha.
So the more coppery it is very desirable.
Yep.
But also, in this season, we don't try to go for more fermentation because Uva is in Sri Lanka.
Yep.
And Uva has a distinct character that nowhere else in the world tea can have, which is usually because it's very dry and there's heavy winds.
Yep.
So this dryness plus the heavy wind stresses the plant so much, it produces a special liquor or character.
Yep.
So that's called the Uva character, which is only like 3 months of the year.
Gotcha.
The level of oxidization can be observed in the color of the infused leaf. Longer oxidization